It looks like you might be having some trouble bandwidth wise. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you on TikTok or this thing.
This thing.
I just might because I think I might have problems with TikTok every now and then. I always thought it was because I sit outside.
Well,
So is it freezing on me?
Yeah, you're chopping up pretty bad. Let's break the TikTok thing off and just do a little show, and then we'll try to do the whole thing later some other time.
All right, let me cancel here. How about this? Let me get off Wi-Fi. Is it any better on your side?
Yeah, it seems to be good.
Okay, I'm live on both then. So.
Oh, good. So I think it's really important for everybody to understand that both of us are doing educational things in real estate, and we're on the cutting edge of some of this technology with the micro video and the teaching. And Caleb, let's make sure that we tell the people who you are. What would you describe the part of Oklahoma that you're in and you're focusing on?
I would say I'm a rural Oklahoman.
Right.
From rural Oklahoma, I do sales primarily all of Oklahoma. I do Metro, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, but I live right inside rural Oklahoma, so do a lot of stuff rural.
But you and I met 3 years ago. I was in Denver, and I was investing in a bunch of real estate in Denver, and I started watching TikTok just in the early stages. And here's this kid from Oklahoma, and he's going through these houses. I'm like, man, I got to know this guy.
Oh, I remember the exact house we connected on. I did a video on the Broadway Street house of yours that you ended up buying. It was a great little house, 2-bedroom, 1-bath, for sale. I think at that point for $54,000. So I did a walkthrough video just like I do all the time, and dadgum, if we didn't get that sucker for you for 50 even, and you've had it now for over 2 years renting it out.
Well, I'm going to do one better. I will show them the house, and I still have it. So this is the house that I called Caleb about, and it's a little 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. Has a separate garage outside.
How do you like that Zestimate on there? Did you see what that was? 91,000.
You know what? We've doubled our money on almost everything that we've bought from you as an investment group. And
I know
the range is 70 to 114, and I got to tell you, I think the Zestimate is probably a little low on that house. I think if I said, "Hey, Caleb, why don't you sell this for me?" I think it would sell for $100,000.
Well, I sold that. The reason why it's that high is I sold a comp few blocks down at 99, and it was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath.
Yeah,
it was full brick though. That's probably
one of the things that I don't think people realize. Okay, is this is a double lot, and this is Main Street, Oilton, right here, and I can build another house on here if I want to, or some commercial property. So, the value that you get for the investments that you are making in Oklahoma are wildly different than they are in other places. I talked to a buddy of mine just tonight, and he has a 2x1. They call it Cape Cod or whatever.
Yeah.
In New Jersey, and he was lucky enough to get a good deal from the seller because he was a friend of his at $345,000. And I think he said the taxes were $6,000 a year.
What's he rent that sucker for? Or does he rent it?
He was renting it from his buddy, and he ended up buying it. They saved up some money for a down payment, and he bought it. Really wonderful family. And he is a police officer in New Jersey. But the point is that I bought this house for $50,000, and I think I rented it out for $650, I think, and did very little to it. I mean, I did very little to it. And the renter was just pleased as punch. I mean, because really on our investment properties, for our group is 1% of the purchase price. We consider that to be a win, but we're all cash. My investment group is all cash. We don't borrow any money from anybody. We get our investors together as a group. They make an LLC, and we're buying these houses for cash. And that the Oklahoma thing works so well for us because the prices are incredible. Now they're going up. 3 years ago, I bought this house and it was $50,000, and Caleb got us a wonderful deal. And that's the thing about doing business with Caleb. If you're an investor, make that relationship.
And here's the thing, like, too, even on my stuff out here, I really don't buy them as appreciation plays. I buy them strictly cash flow plays. Because that's what.
But you're all cash too.
Yeah, I'm all cash too. So we have the little bit of freedom, of course, with that. The appreciation's a bonus there. Like I really didn't see it coming, to be honest with you.
I was the same way, Caleb. And for me, I buy a lot of houses in Norman, Oklahoma, which is where the University of Oklahoma is. And then I buy the rural ones with you. And I always get the 1% with you. Like I bought another house in Yale, Oklahoma. That was a 3x1, a nice big lot. And we paid $50 for that. And it rents for $600 or $700 a month now. Started off at $6 and now it's $7. But you buy it for $50, it should rent for $500 a month. But I'm getting over that on every one that I buy down there. But if I make another house up in Norman, $138,000 house purchase, and the people are renting it for $1,100. So it's not a 1% deal, but they appreciate the things I bought for $130,000 2 or 3 years ago are now at $210 or whatever. They go up.
Yeah.
But I wasn't expecting the little houses to do that. And they did. Did you see the Zillow estimate? I don't know if it's a Zillow estimate, it's a tax estimate on the warehouse, on the doctor's office that we bought. You remember that property?
Not. What did it say?
Well, and you want to fight the tax guy a little bit too, but it's just the surrounding values. But we bought it, and this was a killer deal that you got for me. At what was it? 60? 60. It was 9 rooms, a metal building, 12 parking spaces, and I'm renting it to an oil and gas company right now for $1,000 a month. Okay. And the tax appreciation of the tax value, $195,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, crazy, right?
That's awesome.
Well, I mean, just chop the gain in half, and you're
It
still
sounds like we need to
doubling
do a
your money.
BPO though, and tell them that it's only worth like 90, so you can save some money on some taxes.
Well, yeah, and you always want to try and do that, but um, I'm just happy that there's activity, and I got to tell you, I'm making a couple of more acquisitions with Caleb right now on a couple of properties that we're going to really try to um, fix up some of these older buildings and give everybody a better chance at a quality of life, because people are moving from Denver and California and Seattle. We have a beautiful kind of a secret project, and if you guys want to tune in next Monday, we'll show some pictures of this grand old set of buildings that we're buying. And
I'm meeting with the seller to figure out what's going on. She's got some technical difficulties, so I should have docs signed tomorrow.
Okay. Well, there's a spot in this town that we're buying, and it's already been revamped by the building next door and the building behind us. So it's all of these big luxury looking brick buildings on a street, and it's live workspace and needs to be revamped. But when it is revamped, it's going to be a crazy return. And it should give us, like a 5 times increase. And if it does, then we're going to be able to advertise to our places that we normally go to.
Well, even what that's in there already, you're looking at. Let's see if it takes a little bit to even get those up. You're looking at 650 plus. You're probably looking at almost a 2% return, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The thing that I think is, try to get myself organized here just a second. When you're looking at the stock market going crazy, I mean, it was down, and then it went back up, and then it's going to crash, and the interest rates, everything's crazy. When we talk about the mixed bag portfolio, there's a lot of people who they don't have personal homes. In Denver, I know a lot of people that do not have personal homes. They can't afford it.
Yeah.
But if they join us, we're talking about, $50,000, $75,000 houses.
Sure.
And the deals that we're putting together, we go 4-way on a capital company, and all that means is 4 regular American people who have saved up $25,000, and they want to put it to work, and they want to learn how to do the business. They want to learn how to be an investor, and they all get together with our coaching and our guidance, and now they're earning money on both appreciation and rents, and they're diversified away from the stock market. Because a lot of them, every time the stock market drops, they panic.
I'm going to try and mute you. Oh, I might mute you on this. Can I do that?
Oh, don't do that.
Well, I need to. I'm getting somebody saying I need to. Hang on, let me tell this. I'm getting somebody saying that I should mute something because you're double echoing on it.
Okay, I'll mute myself. How's that?
That should.
I muted myself on the TikTok.
Yeah, that's good. So it should be rolling good on mine because you can hear both.
Okay.
All right, is that better, Cody? And also, I'll encourage. Oh yeah, he said that's better. I'll encourage everybody ask questions. If you got any questions, let's go. We're here to answer questions.
And we're going to try and do a regular show at around 6ish every night, 6:30ish on Mondays. So definitely write down your questions and ask us, or send them to us, and we'll go over them during the show. But I am not afraid to show you my plays. I am not afraid to show you what I did, what I thought was a good idea, what I thought wasn't a good idea. And my thing is, if you work with Caleb, you can have the dream of paid off investment real estate in a way that has not been available to people.
Well, I don't think, and you don't see a lot of people talking about this like rural market that we do, because it's not it's not glamorous, right? It's not pretty.
Until you see the profits.
Well, sure, the profits are. I mean, I'll talk to people in Tulsa, and I have a buddy who, he does a lot of big stuff, and he says, I don't know anyone who's getting the returns you're getting, and it's simply because, and for everybody just joining on TikTok, so we're live with at Mark Hope. He's an investor from Denver. Brought him to Oklahoma because Oklahoma's the best, right? And he saw my TikTok 2 years ago on a rural property that he thought, hey, that could be a good investment. And really, I had just bought, I had just bought my first investment. Actually, I don't know if I think I had just contracted it. I just contracted my first investment in Oilton. And I remember thinking, if I can make this work, for $500 a month, like I'm getting a good return. That's great. And when you did I remember when we contracted this Oilton house for you, you put it out on Facebook Market, and you showed me the inquiries you got, and there were hundreds of them. And you hadn't even closed on it. You just said, hey, we're going to be getting this thing ready to go in, a couple weeks at closing time. And it was amazing how many people had inquired about it. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Well, people ask me, what's the industry in this small town? Like, who cares? There's people that need to rent houses, and they're in the community. I mean, you got to take a little bit of a leap of faith.
Well, these towns are, and same thing I'm doing with Jennings by trying to make the affordable housing that you can go purchase, is these are bedroom communities. Very, very few people are working here. There are some, like there's fabrication shops in Jennings. There's obviously my dad's shop in Oilton, and then there's a large supply warehouse. But you got Cushing, you've got Drumright, you got the oil capital of Oklahoma, 15 minutes away. People are going to drive to these areas. They just need a good place and a safe town to live, and that's what I think these small towns are. Is it's great,
Well, even you compare it against Denver, okay, and my 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house that's like the Oilton house that we showed everybody. That house in Denver is a $450,000 house, and it rents for $2,300 a month. And you just can't do it.
We got a question from Carlos San Ramon, and he says, how do you see real estate right now, buy or wait? And I have my own opinion on it. I'm curious about yours, Uncle Mark.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that it is a wonderful time to buy real estate if you're all cash. If you've saved up your money, or you go in with a family member, and if you don't have to get involved in these huge interest rates, you need to get a real estate agent like Caleb who will fight for you. And the reason that things are a good deal is not because they're priced as a good deal, but the buyer has power now.
So
Caleb, we bought 3 properties in the last month with me. And I tell Caleb, when I spot the properties, I say, okay, here's the deal. Do your thing. And he says, lowball it. I said, yep. Lowball the offer. Be aggressive. We're all cash. And we buy things for $20,000 or $30,000 off of list, but we're the real deal. And when it comes back, you're going to see these properties triple in value when the interest rate drops, because people are going to rush back in the market.
So my opinion on it is a little bit different, because I think it's a great time to buy, and here's why. Versus, let's swing it back to last year at this time, where you couldn't go, and even this was like this even in March of this year. It was crazy. I had a customer who, we were looking for a house, and every house we looked at, 30 people were in there, 15 offers, every offer.
Correct.
And you're having to go, like, give these people tons of cash, and you're having to drop, like, hey, I will put $5,000 in an appraisal gap, and that's not necessarily
and no inspections and all this other stuff.
inspections, or you'll do it as is, and that's not necessarily the best way to do it. Sometimes that's what you got, like that's how you have to do it. But how I view it this time is there's a lot less competition. So everybody's looking at the market. It's coming into the slow time. Interest rates are high. That means everybody who was competing, for a $200,000 property last year, is now kind of sidelined at the moment, because the interest rates have kind of pushed them out, and like, okay, and they don't necessarily want to give up the house that they want to find something in their price range. So, okay, we might wait. But the thing is, if you are comfortable with the payment, because that's going to be the number one thing, if you're comfortable with the payment for right now, you have less competition. You can get a better deal. You can get stuff down well below what it's listed as. You can utilize, if you're using a primary residence loan, i.e. an FHA, VA, all that stuff, you can utilize full seller concessions, pay your interest rate down even better, not come out of closing costs. If it's so inclined to get some other stuff, there's ways to pull other cash out of the property if the appraisals are good.
Well, and everybody needs to realize Caleb is a real estate agent. I'm a real estate agent as well, but I'm not active real estate agent as much as Caleb is. Caleb is doing a bunch of fighting for the homeowners, and I'm doing a bunch of grouping investors together and making money. I'm 60. Caleb is what are you, 19? 22, something like that.
15. No, I just turned 30. No, I mean, there's a happy, like, a seller's not going to sell unless they have to for something that they're just unpleased with and they're unhappy about.
Well, let me ask you this question. Everybody knows that the market is frozen. It is dead frozen, because you got people in 2.5 and 3% 30-year fixed mortgages, and they 100%. Can't move to something else without losing that rate and going all the way up to 7 or 8.
100%. But I'll say this, because I've always said it doesn't matter what market it's in. If a good home is priced well, it will always sell.
Well, as far as your buyers are concerned, everybody says, oh, there's no inventory and people aren't going to let go of these houses because of the rates. They're forgetting the 2 Ds. The 2 Ds in real estate are in play right now, and they're providing all of the bargains. And that is divorce and death.
Oh yeah.
And
Well, I'm dealing
both
with one
of
right.
those
I'm dealing
things
with one right
trigger.
now.
What's
I've
that?
got a video that I'll post later this week. That it's gonna be it's a hoarder house. So like lots of crazy stuff. I walked in it
Right,
today,
right.
checked it out.
We've been there.
Um, Great house. Like if you can look past all the crap and all the trash, great house. I mean, it's 2,400 square foot next to Lake Keystone. Has a pool, 3rd acre lot. Like there's a lot of cool stuff about it, but it's gonna be very heavy cleanup. But that being said, is hey, and I'll get to your question or your reply here in just a second, Cody. Um, that being said, it is it was a death, right? That's how they got it. Somebody died, family gets it,
Well, and that
probate.
triggers the due on sale clause. 3 kids are going after the um, house to split it up in the inheritance, and they've got to pay the loans off. So that's where they have to sell it because they don't have the money to make up the
Yeah.
gap, or they can't get a new loan at 7 or 8% and make it work.
Or I've got
With a divorce.
and let me here. I get it. So Cody, Cody Coyote. I love that name, by the way. We're about to change our brokerage, and it's going to have the word coyote in it. So pretty fun.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I like it. I like his name. So he just said, going back to what we were talking about, how the market was crazy. He said he had to bid 10 over just to get his house back in August, and he goes, it was definitely dog eat dog then. And he's right. He's 100% right. And that's the thing with, like I said, good homes priced well. If you're in Bixby or you're in Jinx, probably in your area, Mark, Norman, probably Edmond, if it's something like sub 200 in a good area, you got 100 people after the same thing. So, in cases like that.
Well, and one thing that I will tell our viewers, just so they know, that the market is pressing down the value of these homes temporarily. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not afraid. There's a house that I bought for 138,000 in Normand, and there's another house that just sold in that neighborhood for about the same price. And people were jumping on it. But that was a $135,000 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house in Norman, Oklahoma, in one of the best zip codes by the university. And that house that I bought went all the way up to 200, and now it's temporarily gone back down to the lower price. So what that means is the bargains are happening now, and they're going to go back up. And I don't care what anybody says, when the interest rates go back down, the people are going to come back in and try to secure their place in the future of real estate.
No, that's 100%. And then Cody just responded too. He said his is in Claremore, close enough to Tulsa. Dude, Claremore is a great area. So is, Owasso. You've got Collinsville. Those are good areas that people are starting to. Because here's what it is, Mark. Like, I know you're not super familiar with the Tulsa area, but like Tulsa's market on residential, the hottest market is South Tulsa, like Bixby. Parts of Jinx. Jinx is almost like bought up, but like Bixby is probably the hottest place. There's tons of new construction, all kinds of stuff. It's just moving so fast. And then after that, you got what I would say Broken Arrow. You got some other pockets like Glenpool, that type of stuff. But you're starting to see a fluctuation of like movement to these other areas that are a little bit further out, maybe. And so Claremore becomes one. Owasso was a good pocket before, but it became a little bit like Broken Arrow. It's very expensive, but now Claremore's coming up. You got Collinsville kind of next. They're a little bit more rural, a little smaller, maybe a little further out than these other pockets. But you're going to see this in Sand Springs. You're going to see this, and there's some development coming on in Sand Springs. That is pretty awesome. Like they've got just kind of staples that haven't been there. You got Chili's, you got Chick-fil-A. I think Chick-fil-A is a telltale sign of about any good like they do their market research so fast. So the next thing I'm waiting for is like a Life Church to get there, because like a Life Church and Chick-fil-A, it's about to explode. But here's what's exciting. This is exciting for me and you, Mark, because we have houses out west.
Yeah.
Sand Springs going to grow and explode, right? It's going to.
Well, and there are some historically fabulous looking houses in Sand Springs.
Oh, I think Sand Springs, old Sand Springs with the hills, is probably one of the most beautiful places in Tulsa. But get this, though.
Do you remember that crazy house that had the parking underneath it that we almost bought?
I do.
I wish I would have bought that house.
I do. That was that video went crazy.
It looked like one of those Norman Rockwell, or who's the famous architect?
Frank Lloyd Wright.
Frank Lloyd Wright. And it was, it was almost like a tree house kind of a thing with a center.
It had stairs. It had a sunken entertainment area outside, which was cool. That thing sold.
Do I remember? Was it 210?
I think it was 210. I remember it being cheap. It was like 210 or 240 or something. Like for what it was, 240 was cheap. I think it might have been 210. That ended up selling. I met the guy who flipped it.
Did he flip it into an Airbnb? Because that was the discussion.
I don't know who the person who bought it, but I met the guy who fixed it up to sell it.
Okay.
But no, so back to what I was saying about Sand Springs, though, is the out where we are. Sand Springs is 7 miles from, or 8 miles from Manford, and Manford, Mark, is the next town to the east of Oilton.
Okay.
So we're 15 minutes, about 15 minutes from Manford. And then Cody says, okay, he says they're building a refinery in Cushing, so the rent house Airbnb game will be crazy around there. Yeah, he's 100% right.
And I have heard a bunch of that, Cody.
I know
my sources on the ground. I've heard a bunch of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming. It's ready to go. There's a girl that I know who just finished up a rehab that she's gonna long-term it right now, but after the first lease, she's gonna switch it over to a midterm rental specifically for that. Here's my investment strategy isn't going to change with it. Like, I'm going to keep buying stuff. I just picked up 2 more in Drumright, which is 9 miles away from Cushing, or 8 miles. I'm sorry, it's 8 miles away, because I'm going to catch the people who are working there for a while, or it's cheaper to rent one of my houses than it is to Airbnb.
And I think the Airbnb is a very dangerous thing. I had some Airbnb and I got rid of it because the expenses overwhelm the money that you can make just on static tenants, just because they're paying for all the cost. Once you have to wash the beds and pay the electricity, I don't want to have, I would rather have prison guards that are working there, or, some of the local oil field guys or whatever. I mean, I just don't want that much work going on.
And that's what gets me even on midterm. Like, I know the cash is there, but you're essentially having to do an all bills paid, fully furnished.
Right.
And I know you do a little better on that, but they'll probably be a cleaner tenant than what your long term is. So your turns are going to be probably a little cheaper, but my investment strategy is going to stay the same, because with growth of an area, you're going to have growth of the people that want to be there more long term.
Well, my investment company is always interested in doing the meat and potatoes investing, but then I'm always trying something different, and I've got a short list of things for next year. I want to do a sober living house the right way, and two corporations, one buying a massive 8-bedroom mansion and then building a sobriety thing. But I also want to use that same concept for independent senior living. And if you're not providing medical, I can get $20,000 a month out of a 4-bedroom house in independent living. And you got cleaners and cooks and stuff like that. And that's what I'm paying. I had to put my mother-in-law in a place, and her bill's $6,500 a month.
Goodness.
In one of these facilities. So a lot of them would rather just have a house where they can look after mom and somebody's there.
And then Cody says 3-month lease, all bills paid. Would be best for them road guys. I used to be one of those road guys, so I'm speaking from the side of it. No, I think you're right, but like even a long term, I had when I did my first unit, I didn't know a whole ton about anything, right? I tried to manage it, but the guy I wanted, and really he just couldn't get to the property fast enough. We talked on the phone, and he was a road guy, and he would come up to Cushing. I think he'd have to come to Drumright and Cushing area several times a month, and he was renting. They were giving him per diem, right? And he would get an Airbnb or a hotel, and he's like, "Man, it's costing me, $1,500 a month,
right,
to do this. Sometimes a little bit more." And I had a 2-bedroom rental property for $650. And he's like, "Man, I could have a kitchen. I could do anything I wanted." And I was like, "Yeah, I think that's great." On a property, and the thing is, I didn't have furniture in there, so he probably even with getting a couple things, I mean, all he probably would have done is put a bed in there and a chair and a TV. Like, he probably would have had like that the remainder of that $1,500 per diem, putting a couple things in, and they set up for then after that. Futon and a TV. No, you're right. But here, as an investor, right, on my side, that's great, because that means, my property's lived in a little less hard, right? Because the guy's going to be gone for 20 days out of the month. And it's just kept, you can kind of get the longevity of your property a little bit longer. Now, he wasn't able to rent it because I wasn't smart enough to wait for people. I was like, "No, I need to rent this thing right now." And that's what you learn. You learn. He's like, "Oh, I can't be there for 3 more weeks." And I was like, "Oh, I can't wait that long." So,
and Caleb, that's the thing. If you're any good as an entrepreneur or a business person, you lose your ego quick. Because if you can say, "Hey, look, we never lose. We either make money or we learn." And that's it.
Yeah.
And that's it. And you and I have both made mistakes on different things, and we, try different things, and it doesn't work. Like, my next thing is also on my short list. I want to do a Section 8 house, and I want to do that correctly. And that one guy, Tom Cruise is his name, that does that show.
Yeah, I like him. He's a good guy. Yes, Cody, you're right. It's never like, I'll tell you guys about my first tenant. This is, I don't know if I probably told Mark about this. My first tenant, and I learned, was probably the most valuable tenant, because I learned a lesson. I was showing the house a ton, and I remember thinking, "Gosh, I've been showing this thing for taking applications. I had like 12 applications I was reviewing, trying to do it myself because I don't know anything." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to learn from this." So I had this one person. She reached out to me on behalf of her employee, and I thought, "Oh, this is awesome. I will get my payment direct from them. They're going to cut it for me," and they did. They did for 2 months. And I was like, "This is going to be awesome." And so I moved this couple in there. They just had a baby. I was like, "Oh, this is going to be awesome. This is great." Told them, and I love dogs. I will allow dogs in my rentals. That's great. I think it's great for a family. Hey, you're trying to live. I don't want you to be a robot, but I was like, "Hey, no pit bulls." Because no pit bulls and cats. That was kind of my thing. No pit bulls, no cats.
I totally agree.
And I was trying to be a nice guy. This is Christmas. I was dropping off Christmas cards to all my one tenant and knock on the door, and I hear a really loud bark. And I told him, just let me know when you get a dog, because I gotta, your rent's gonna go up and you gotta give a deposit. Well, of course they didn't tell me, because they didn't want to give the deposit and they didn't want their rent to go up. And I open, it was a big old loud dog. I open the door, pit bull. It's like, oh gosh, here we go. All right. So it was a pit bull, and I was like, dude. Well, I said, what are you doing, bro? You gotta tell me these things. Like, you gotta let me know. He was like, oh yeah, whatever. I've been working, blah blah blah. Well, so he
He's
paid.
been working. Okay.
He paid November. He paid December. And a little late on January. And he started doing this thing where, about a week before rent was due, hey, I'm having plumbing issues. I was like, okay, great, I'll have somebody. And I'm not above, like, my stuff has issues. Just like everybody's properties, my stuff will have issues. I get somebody out there right away. So I get plumbers out there like, hey, we've, rooted lines, don't know what's going on. So he finally doesn't pay. Like, he's like a month behind. And I was like, okay, hey, you got to go, man. Like, you've used up your deposit. Like, if you either got to pay or, don't stay. And that guy, and I was real nice. I'd learned this too. I did not get the utilities transferred to him, even though I told him to. I was like, hey, you need to get the utilities put in your name. And so he never got the utilities put in his name, and I knew he was going to stick me with a big bill. So I was like, hey, I need you out. I had to give him, he didn't pay, so I had to give him 30 days. And I told him, I was like, if you seem to have these plumbing problems, I'm going to have to get somebody in there to really, like, dig into it, and they might have to cut the floor out and, replace a line. And that actually did end up happening. They cut the floor out, replaced a main line, and it's been great ever since. But I remember telling him, like, hey, I'm going to have to give you 30 days, but I'll tell you what, if you're out by next Friday, I'll pay this last utility bill for you, and we're all good. And he was out by the next Friday. Now, he left the place pretty big mess.
Sure.
Not as bad as it could be, but fairly big mess. I had to do a pretty good clean on it. Had to do some touch-up paint. And I'm talking, this is all done in like 3 or 4 months,
But that's a cash for keys type of a scenario.
Yeah, it is. I was like, hey, leave my property. You're causing me problems. Couple things he took from me. He took a heater that I had, like a wall-mounted heater in the laundry room to get some heat. And he stole every light bulb in the place. Every one. I thought the power was out. I was like, oh, he didn't put the power in. He shut the power off. And stole every light bulb. I was like, sorry, sucker. So yeah, I learned from it. What did I learn from that, Cody? Is I said, I'm not good at picking tenants. I'm good at advertising properties. I'm good at negotiating for my clients. But I like people. And so when somebody is like, oh yeah, if they're, and I like you, I'm probably not a good manager. And that's what I learned. So I hired a property manager, and that's the end of it.
Imagine Caleb the rhinoceros, previous strongman record holder of breaking as many bats over in half. What was it, 50?
No, my record is called a composite. It's breaking 5 baseball bats, 5 phone books, and bending 5 frying pans in 1 minute and 12 seconds.
So pretty much somebody that you don't want to catch up to in an alley somewhere is the softest touch you ever run into when he's dealing with people.
Yeah.
Especially his son, Westy.
Oh, I love my little boy, Westy. He's sick right now. He's got a 103 fever and just doesn't want to do anything. So
I don't blame him. I do not blame him.
He's in bed with his mom.
we're headed towards the top of the hour. And so I've been scrolling Caleb's Rhino stuff. And if you attach to any of our social medias, we're both very easy to get a hold of. And I know that Caleb is very interested in helping people, educating people. He's involved in a lot of new build things. He's involved in a lot of getting people the right home that they want. I have an agency in Denver. If you have $1 million house in Denver that you want me to sell for you, and then you want to move down here to Oklahoma and have Caleb buy you 4 houses that you can live in and then rent and have streaming income, that's our 2-punch team from Denver. So, look out for us, and we're always available, on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and email, and all the different venues. Am I missing anything, Caleb?
No, sir. I don't think you are.
And every week that we do the show, we're going to have a couple of properties that we're going to call hot properties. And I think that you guys will be pretty surprised that I think if you watch this show, you're not going to believe, like, some of the properties I've been buying this week with my team are pretty crazy. So did you get me pictures of that one building we were talking about?
I got to go in with him. He was gone, I think, Friday. So I've got to get in probably Wednesday afternoon or tomorrow at some point with him. So
okay,
that's a cool building too. I think you'll really like that.
Well, yeah, I think we're ready to go on that. We just need to see pictures and see what's involved.
Yeah,
and
I mean, it's when I tell you it's a heavy remodel upstairs. It's heavy. Downstairs is not as bad, but upstairs is heavy. So.
Well, we're not afraid of a little fixing up for the right equity play.
Yeah.
And I think, these small towns, I did it myself 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. I said, I'm going to buy these small towns from this guy, Caleb. And, I always do it to me first. So if I'm making a mistake, it's only me. But, the other downside of that is it's been a wonderful financial benefit for me.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, I'm up to, once they're remodeled and stuff, I'm up to 8 doors out there. Like, I love it. Always looking for more, although I got to finish these before I buy more.
Yeah, and I've been in that position as well.
Yeah,
but
I have to. I think this is the second time I've gotten myself to, like, hey, I got 3 projects going, and I'm like, okay, I gotta start fixing what I got before I get another project. So yeah, ready to start getting some of these. I got in a little bit today and laid some flooring.
There you go.
I gotta go get some more. I'm about 1,000 square foot short. So,
but those old houses just look beautiful when you put that luxury plank vinyl floor in.
Oh, it changes everything. It's like, it looks so good. It makes it look so good.
Well, and you do the blocky trim with the white. And that's what I was going to tell you. I want you to get by that Drumright main house. And, I think let's take a look at that. We're getting close.
Okay.
New bathrooms have been done, and, we're either going to sell that or we're going to look for a renter or whatever. So we can feature that property on next week.
Oh, that'd be a good one. Yeah.
I mean, because that's almost an acre of ground, 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and it's all wooded back there. And what do we pay for that property, Caleb? 64.
64 was the purchase price on that one.
And my partner that I have in that property, we put about 20 into it in a remodel, and we wouldn't sell it for less than 110, 115. And depending, we don't know what we do. It just depends on how much the market bears. But that's a crazy situation. And that's another thing, Caleb. We are interested in doing a financing model on some of these houses. I want to call it a long-term flip. And so what we want to do is we want to buy the house. We want to find the right people. We want to write up a contract to where they can rent the place for 2 years. And then they can sign a contract to purchase, and we'll finance them after 2 years of them saving up their money to where they have a 10% down payment. Then we'll write their own paper on them to do a 30-year fixed after that. So it gives them a chance to be in the house, decide that they like it, save up 10% down, and then actually we'll write the loan. Hope for Homes will write the loan, and there they go. The investors are getting long streaming income, and the tenants are getting a good person that's going to take care of them, in the financing.
I know a guy who does that like almost exclusively, and they love it. They think it's awesome. I'm going to give our guy who's been chatting with us a little bit of a shout out. Cody Coyote 89 says he is a licensed electrician, so give him a shout.
Cody, where are you located?
He's over in Claremore.
How far is that away from my stuff?
It's probably an hour and a half.
Okay. Well, if he's willing to travel, I have jobs, and I'm also always looking for like-minded people to get in deals with. Let's say that I've got two of my Denver investors, and I've got a handy guy like Cody Coyote, and he wants to buy a fourth of a property or a third of a property, and my team will run all the stuff that we do with you, and buying and writing the contracts and renting and vetting the tenants and all that. So if you're a good person and you're willing to babysit the properties, work on them a little bit, take stewardship, and learn the other part of the business from us, there's a chance that you could start an LLC with us, and we'd love to have you. And if there's houses in Claremore, then have the Rhino look for them, and we'll do one right in your neighborhood. Because
I think a town that's great up there. Oh gosh, I have to look at the map. I think Claremore's great. Pryor has some steals. Old Pryor Creek. They've got they have a Google plant there now, so stuff is going more expensive than what it used to be. But like, there's some good rental opportunities up in these smaller towns around Claremore too. And you're going to see.
I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon.
No, it's not. And then Miami is up there going. Just left the Prairie. It's great. Oh, it's awesome. Let's see. We got another
two cities right now that are more advantageous to rent or to own than to rent.
Let's see. I got Claire Fay who says, I built 8 spas. I'm hands-on, can do a lot. So is that who you're looking for? Are you, Claire, do you mean like as an investor? Is that who we're looking for? Or
as somebody that's in the area that wants to do work on bathrooms? Or Claire, where do you live?
And then John Clark says they're building a Panasonic battery factory in Pryor as well. Yeah, I think Pryor's awesome. I think you're going to see these small towns between like Claremore and Miami with that America's Heartland going in. I think you're going to see these small towns explode just because of proximity to work, and you have Google facilities in Pryor, and you have all these little offshoots of town, Verdigris, and all these little places that are gonna just explode. So,
Well, you know who I'm have a lot of people contacting me are these online workers. You know, somebody works for Cisco in Denver and they're paying $3,000 a month for rent, and they can come to Oklahoma, Oilton, Oklahoma, and get high speed line and rent that 2 bed, 1 bath, nice little house for $600 a month. They can pay off their student loans, pay off their credit cards, their car bills. I mean, we're getting a lot of people into Oklahoma that are coming for the affordability.
so Claire just got back and said Tulsa. She's from Tulsa. She's a realtor, but would love to get into flipping. She has lots of skills and willing to drive almost anywhere within an hour. She's got listings in Okemah to Tulsa. Well, that's great, Claire. I mean, we love teaching people anything we can. So
Especially on the investing front,
yeah,
reach out to us and we can tell you what we've got going on. And, for some of these families, one house every 5 years leads to generational wealth. I mean, Caleb's telling you that he has 8 houses. Is that right, Caleb?
that's right.
8 houses, and they're growing. As the dollar's getting weaker, his money's going to stay the same. And that is the trick of what's going on, and the thing that I teach in all my classes is you don't want to view your money as a pile. Like you have $1 million in the bank and it's a pile of money, and every time you take some out, then the pile goes down. We think about our money as a river, a flow of income. We dip our thing in and take some money out, and it keeps flowing by. And every time Caleb and I get any money, we buy another house. And the river gets bigger and there's more money. And pretty soon you can do whatever you want to because there's more and more and more money flowing by. But it's hard to save up that initial money to do it cash only. And that's our way.
No,
there's a lot of people that have done it.
It took me 2 years from the time I said, hey, I'm going to start investing. And I researched and researched and researched and researched and found a cheap enough deal for me to invest in. It took me 2 years.
Yep.
It's not and that's what I'm saying. It's not glamorous, right?
How fast did number 2 happen after that?
Number 2 happened just a few months, actually. No, number 3 happened really quickly. So I bought 3 in the first year.
Then you took a breath.
Got those rented, fixed. And then it was another year, maybe like 8 months before I bought the next one. And then I bought another one before the year end of 2022. So I had 5 properties. Again, some were still projects, at year end last year. And then bought one in February, which might turn out to be good or be bad. We'll find out. I think it'll be good because of the creative labor situation I'm doing on it, which I guess this is good for live people like this. So I came across a package of properties in Jennings, in Cleveland, Oklahoma, and I go to look at one, and I go to look at one property, and I say, hey, I like it. And I negotiate with her, I buy it for $15,000. It's an absolute, wreck. Needs a lot of money into it. But she's like, yeah, I got the next one next door for sale too. And so we chat with her. I negotiate both properties. So you got one's a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. The other's a 3-bedroom, 2 bath for $25,000. I offer it to my construction business partner. He buys it for 10. Couple months later, he goes, hey, we're working on these new builds. I don't really have time to fix this. Do you want to buy this? And I was like, yeah, I'll figure it out. Well, there's a lot, again, on these houses, there's a lot of labor that's going to go into them, a lot of material and labor. So I had a contractor ask me, "Hey, when are you going to find me one of these houses like he's been working on?" And I said, "You know what? I got one for you. And if you do the labor on the house next door for me, I will give you the deed uh, to that house." And he said, "Yeah, let's do it." So a little creative solution there. But there's a lot to that house. And that's the one house I've been like, man, you know, should I got into this big of a project? But what makes it work a little bit is the labor there. Um, but yeah, then I bought so I purchased technically 4 this year, um, which I'll end up, swapping one of those for labor. I've got 2 more that I'm working on in the Drumright area, so that'll get to 8 houses in 2 calendar years. Or I guess it'd be 3 calendar years, in 21, 22, and 23. But bought my first property in May of 21.
That's just fantastic, bud. Now, what are you doing in the market?
Like sales?
No, like stock market.
Uh, Nothing. I think I have a little bit of I think I have some EXP stock. I've got a little bit of stuff. I don't know it like I know real estate, you know?
Well, the thing that I'm telling you is diversify your bucket of investments. There's a bunch of people out there that have a bunch of stock and no real estate, and that hurts. And the best place, especially for a young family like you guys, to have some money is put in the S&P 500 like Warren Buffett says, and dividend producing stocks. And even if you're just putting $100 a month, get a Schwab account, and I'll go over how that works with you. But as that's growing, your real estate's growing, and it's different buckets of wealth. And so you're not
I
always
think probably
worried.
my intention will be, I look at real estate as funding everything. So what I'll probably do is buy a house, income from that, go straight into the stock market.
I like it. And I will help you and coach you through the basics on that. I always coach my people to do an online Marcus savings account. I like Marcus, but the online savings accounts give me a 4.4% interest. So if you're saving up your money to buy a house from Caleb, don't keep it in your bank account at your savings and loan. Keep it online where you're getting that big interest bump, and
Yeah, I've
and
seen
you're
like
separated
5%.
away from what's that?
I said I think I've seen like what 5% rates on there.
For a CD right now. I have a passbook savings account. It takes me $3 to get my money transferred, and I get 4.4%. It's
Bad.
fluctuating. So an account I have $100,000 in, I get $300 a month from that, which pays my cell phone bill.
Oh, there you go.
And if it was a regular bank, you wouldn't get anything.
Let me read a little bit from comments that have come through. So Claire said she totally agrees with the river. Whoops, hold on. Cody Coyote says willing to start small with you guys and be an asset to the team. Plus, Cody
Welcome.
Coyote already fits in. Cody, why don't you shoot us a message? Get it, DM us.
Yeah, and give him my information, Caleb. We'll
Yeah.
invite you on the show. We can take up to 8 callers on this show that we're on the other side. Let us know, and we'll let you go on the live studio, and you could actually talk to us, and we could talk about deals with whoever.
Yeah, we'll answer questions real time, and so that way it's not as delayed. And then Claire asked me, did I sell the hotel yet? No, I haven't. I've almost got it up on market. Still working on uploading all the stuff.
Is that the 40 doors one you were telling me about?
That's the 40. That's the 41. Got some decent views on TikTok.
I need to buy that and do my adult living concept.
I mean, I think, or your live-in like nursing home type thing.
Yeah,
that'd be a good one too. Because it used to be a hospital. I found that out. But anyway, and then she said 5 facets of income for sure. So yeah. But I think we'll probably I'm having to go to the bathroom here in a second, so we might
Well,
wrap it
and
up.
we should go. It's well past the top of the hour, but we love you guys in the audience, and we are very interested in building your wealth. And we talk about starting businesses and buying equities and assets, and we're available for you guys to win. And we don't work with big guys. You know, if you got a bunch of money, I mean, I can't speak for Kale, but I don't want to do big things. I want to do small things that the American family can change their family tree and pay off their debt. And I'm so proud of Caleb, you know, 8 houses. His kids are going to be so grateful that they don't have to worry about things that are going on in this world. And you can do it. And Caleb can tell you about his trials and tribulations, but you can do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll parent that. I will work with the big guys too, but I do have a heart for small towns, small, getting started. That's where I'm going. So I'll work with everybody, but I mean, I'm a small time investor, so I have a heart for small time investors too, and people just even people just wanting a home. I mean, I was there too. I was there, and almost 10 years ago, I was like, I want a house. I want to go on with adulthood.
Well, and if you get on that escalator, it's the same as rent.
Yeah.
You just got to save up that down payment, get your piece of the pie, like Mr. Coyote did, and just get in the game.
And they say, and back to someone who asked, is now a good time to buy? Yeah, it is. Because guess what? When I bought, I was like, dadgum, can't believe I'm paying this for a house. I was nervous. Guess what? That was 10 years ago, and my payment's $320 a month. Nobody, what do you do? I mean, the best time to buy real estate is yesterday. Today, the fastest you can do it, go buy a house.
Well, and I say everybody's got to make their own decision, and we're here to educate you guys about what we think and what we've done, and more importantly, what we've done. Mark, show me the house you bought 2 years ago, and then show me what it is today. And you get to decipher that, and you need to learn from us and make your own decisions and make it as less of a risk as you can.
And then mitigating your risk is always like, I have a buddy who he bought a house and he's like, man, they're starting to get maintenance stuff. And I said, well, yeah, you've had it for 2 years. Like you've been relatively insulated, and I helped him buy those, and they were such good deals that for 2 years hasn't really had very little maintenance calls. You
know what kills me is they don't even blink at buying a $70,000 pickup.
Oh no, but the
$125,000 house. Oh, should I buy now or whatever? The house is going to double, and the truck is going to get cut in half in the same 5-year period.
Oh yeah.
What should I do? Well, go buy 3 brand new trucks and stay broke the rest of your life. It pinches. That's what my wife says. It pinches.
It gives you a freedom to once we, and this, like I said, we'll wrap this up here in just a minute. But I don't know if you saw my video I posted yesterday evening, where I was just like, I'm not saving college. I'm not saving money for Weston's college, and it might be a little taboo to some people, but here's what I do have. Right, I have eight properties that are cash flowing assets, and I'm going to say, guess what, son? And I'll do this for all my children, as I hope to have. I got one on the way, and I've got hopefully have 1 or 2 more. But I'm going to say, hey, I've got this property that brings in $900 a month. And I'm going to give it to you, son, and you can either take that income, you can live on that income, do whatever you want. You can, 2, you can use that as a springboard to get into investing for yourself. You can utilize that. Maybe you want to start a business. Maybe you don't want to be an investor, but he wants to start his own business. Well, there's, equity in that home. Or you can say, I just want to sell it and I want to go to college, if that's still a thing in 20 years.
Right.
And he's got all the freedom of anybody that has an asset. So you have, there's so many plays for real estate assets because your money sits there and it grows. So yeah, I mean it's a good deal, but great time.
Love you,
Great
buddy.
folks.
Proud of you.
Love
Thanks
you too.
everybody for tuning in.